friends, this is the Miss Wolfie from our Half Acre Homestead. Do you remember when I said I had a treat for you? So today, and this is the closest to a script I'm ever going to get because I had to print some stuff off. Do you remember me telling you about Aunt Jane? My little Aunt Jane? Marilyn's one of her children. And so therefore she's my cousin. And she married John Williams. After the pig roast, Marilyn and John wanted to come up for a visit. And I thought, you know what? This is a wonderful opportunity, if he will do it, for me to introduce you to another fascinating member of my family. So, say hi, John.
Hi, and hi to everybody out there.
John Williams, famous, world famous motorcycle hill climber. And in 2009, you were inducted into the Motorcycle Hall of Fame of Canada, right?
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the Canadian Motorcycle Hall of Fame, John Williams.
And how did that feel?
Well, I felt great. And you know, one thing it gave me an opportunity to thank everybody. I'm 5-time world champion hill climber, and I didn't get to be that on my own. It was a Canadian team effort.
And a family team effort, too.
It was a family team effort. My last 13 years of hill climbing was with my 2 sons, and my wife also took over when my mechanic went back to Japan for 3 years. She took over as chief pit crew, and we won 2 more world championships with her at the helm. All I did was ride the motorcycle, and it was a bit of a chore. Some of the hills that we're going up are 600 feet high, and we're running at speeds of 100 miles an hour, and the motorcycles run on rocket fuel. They run on 100 proof nitro, propylene oxide, and nitrous oxide.
The only time I've ever seen nitrous oxide, you know, outside of a hill climb is in like Gone in 60 Seconds, the movie where they press that red button and the car goes.
That's it. It just doubles the horsepower. And my mechanic, Nick Kemp, he put the engine together and he did all the mechanical stuff. I could read it as we're going up the hill. I could, we need 2 more teeth, 2 less teeth. I got to get back more.
Teeth in the chain, like in the wheel? In
the actual wheel. We changed the sprocket on the hub.
Right, okay.
And I remember, this is how critical it is, 400-foot hill we were at, Hornell, New York, and my son took off coming up the hill, and he got up about, 150 feet. It's 400 feet to the wire. And he was all over the place, just fighting the motorcycle, and he crashed. So I pulled him off the side path, and I said, Greg, what are you running? He said, I'm running a 42 tooth on the back sprocket. I said, go down and put 40 on.
That would make the chain looser, like
well,
more.
Oh no, it doesn't affect the chain, it affects the gearing on the motor.
Okay.
So what I told him, I said, you're out of motor 100 feet up the hill, your motor's just screaming, you're not going anywhere, you need to load it up. So put from the 42, put a 40 tooth on the back wheel. He went down and he set the hill record for the day.
Awesome.
He said, Dad, I couldn't believe it. I just sat there and it flew.
Well, but that said it all. Dad, I couldn't believe it because Dad was the first one. Johnny, when was your very first
hill climb?
Hill climb.
I had a chance to get involved in it through this friend of mine, Kenny Hatton, and he was hill climbing in Canada at that time, the only hill climber left.
Yeah.
And he said, you got to find a Harley 45 WR motor.
But I thought you drive a Honda.
Well, that was later on. That's
Okay.
how it progressed. So I remember there was a Harley dealer on College and Bathurst, and I worked at King and Bathurst. And I would go up there every week, and this Slim Thompson, who used to hill climb, worked there on the counter. And he'd see me coming in. This one day, he put his elbow on. He said, you really want to go hill climbing, don't you? I said, man, I got it. He said, okay, here's my address, Weston Road, you be there tonight at 7:30. So I drive up there an hour early, I go past his place, I want to make sure I'm not late. I go to the restaurant, have a bite to eat, 7:30, I'm right at his place. As I drove into the driveway, he had the garage door open and a light shining on this hill climber. I thought, I can't believe it. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. He said, there's a hill climber. He said, if you want to get started, I'll sell it to you for $175. I bought the hill climber, and that weekend, he said, well, go up here, there's a subdivision that they're just starting. And I went out there, and he showed me how to do the controls. So I took off, and he forgot to tell me there's no brakes on it. I give it a shot, and I shut it off, and here's this big mound of dirt, and I couldn't get it stopped, and I ran right into it, and up and over in. This guy had a car, and two little kids were on the street, and the guy come running over, he says, if you're going to be here next Sunday, I'm coming back and see that again, he says. That's how I got started hill climbing.
So when was your first professional one?
My first professional one, they didn't do hill climbing here in Canada, only one a year at Heidelberg, was down in Rochester, New York. We got there, and here's this 350-foot hill, all grass.
Oh, God.
And I took off, and I crashed partway up the hill. And we had two events and 2 rides in each event.
Yeah.
I took the second ride, I crashed again. I took the third ride and I crashed again. I had 1 ride left. I thought, well, maybe I'll get up a little further this time. I wound it up and took off, and I'm going up the hill, and the front end's coming up, and it just flipped, and my face went whack right into the hill.
Ow.
And I thought, So we got the bike down to the bottom, and this one fellow come over, this Dick Dresser, he rode a Triumph. He said, listen, little Canuck, he said, whatever you do, don't quit your day job.
John is the only Canadian ever to win a motorcycle world championship, succeeding on 5 occasions between 1972 and 1981.
So I took his advice, but I kept hill climbing.
What year was that?
That was in 1959.
Wow.
So I hill climbed for 35 years, and so I went on so much with that particular machine, full well realizing that I couldn't win on it, but I liked it so much I was hopeful I'd get at least in the top 10.
So when did you switch over the Hondas?
I switched over to Honda. Before I did that, I bought a Harley. That was a winning Harley from a fella in the United States, Tommy Reiser in Ohio. So I bought that off him, and I won my first hill climb on it at Hornell, New York, 400-foot hill. It took me 18 seconds to get up the hill. It was that long and that rough to ride.
Yeah.
When I finished hill climbing, I set the hill record there in 5 seconds flat, same hill. I
Wow.
was riding an 800cc 4-cylinder Honda. But I went 10 years before I won a hill climb.
Yeah.
And then I realized I got to get somebody to make this bike go faster. So I got a hold of this Louis Grenzer Harley Davidson dealer, Elkhart, Indiana. They took it back home,
Yeah.
and I was only running alcohol in it when I rode it.
Right.
So when he brought it back, he said, John, you got to go back to a right-hand throttle. No more shutting the button off. This bike now runs on 75% nitro.
Cheese and crackers.
So all of a sudden, I got 35 more horsepower just like
Just from the
that.
fuel fuel change.
And I went out that year. I took 7 first places and won my first world championship in 1972 at Muskegon, Michigan. I beat the second place guy by 10/100ths of a second.
I'll tell you something. When you're milling perfect things on a milling machine, 1/100th of an inch or 1,000th of an inch makes a difference.
You're
And
right.
1,000th of a second
Yeah.
makes all the can make all the difference in the world. So when you had the new suspension designed and built in California, and nobody else had the
No.
swing arm suspension on it. And what difference did that make?
I realized that watching my 2 boys go across the plowed field on 125 Kawasaki's, the swing arm was working, and I thought, you know what, for years, back from the teens when the factories built, Indian built a hill climber, Harley built a hill climber, and they hired the best of the crop to ride them and race them. Because you race on Sunday, you sell on Monday. That was
Exactly.
their thinking. And they were all rigid frames. There was no shocks. So you rode a solid frame like this, and when you hit a bump with that back wheel and the chain making the wheel go, it would bounce in the air, stay in the air, come down, bounce again. And all that time that wheel's not touching the ground. You're losing forward motion.
Absolutely.
I decided that there's something wrong with this picture with rigid frame, so I am going to order this new frame from California, had it built there, and they built it for a 4-cylinder Honda, no more V-twin flatheads. I knew I had to get something out there that was faster. When I had the Harley, it was putting out 72 horsepower,
Right?
and when I went to the Honda, we put out 250 horsepower.
Wow.
And when I went to the 800, it put out 300 horsepower. Now the bikes only weighed about 325 pounds.
That's a lot of horsepower for
It
that
is.
light of a weight.
And to hook it up to the ground, we had 1-inch manure spreader chain, 3 links. They were that big,
Yeah.
went around a tire,
Yeah.
every 12 inches. And when you dump the clutch on those things with that massive amount of horsepower, rooster tails would go back 30 feet in the air for 100 feet, and the crowd loved it.
Nobody else had the
No.
swing arm suspension on it. And what difference did that make?
I told everybody with the Harley, I said, look, I'm going to pack it in. So what happens? I get sponsorship that year from STP. I pull in the STB van, and all these guys are looking, who in the heck is this coming in? So they all wander down to the van. I open the back door. Here's this frame chrome plated with 2 shocks on the back. And it's a 4-cylinder Honda. Well, right away, oh, you don't need shocks, and that makes it heavier, and you're pulling more weight, and blah, blah, blah. And a 4-cylinder Honda, it's only got little flywheels like this. You won't be able to come back with the power, blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, we'll see how it goes. First year I finished 9th in the top 10. There was a lot of teething to do with it. The next year we come out and won the first world championship, next world championship, next world championship. We won 4 world championships on that bike.
On that bike. Okay.
And 1 on the Harley. And my son took it over, and he won another 4. Greg,
Yeah.
my son Greg, won 4 world
My cousin.
championships. For me to be able to race with my 2 sons for 13 years, I didn't want them to, because I knew the broken bones and everything that they would experience.
Interjecting, folks, notice that Johnny's wife, Marilyn, is not in this video, but speaking for her, watching her sons hill climb was one of the most harrowing experiences a mother can go through. Correct, Marnie?
Right.
There.
Well, we're ready for Greg Williams out of Markham, Ontario in his Honda. And he's set at the starting line, Bill.
This is another one of the STP Hondas. A lot of horsepower, good rider. Watch him attack this hill. He'll keep that bike straight. He'll set way back on it, and he goes fast.
Boy, a very good run for number 28, Greg Williams, right to the top of the hill. Very direct, very clean. Okay. How about for you as a rider of the hill, the scariest part, or what, for a viewer that wouldn't really understand what it feels like to go up that 70-degree hill, what's the scariest part?
I don't know if this particular hill there's not so much of a scary part to it, but the first part of the hill, this first 60 feet, you got to have your timing right when you come over that first breaker, because that's where you win or lose the hill climb on this hill climb. And you got to make sure that you get shut down at the top. I've gone off here a few times, and I was laid up for almost a week last year. Did some pretty permanent damage because my boots don't fit me the same way they used to, but I was fortunate. I really didn't break anything seriously.
Just listen to that motor. Look at that ride. That motorcycle is moving. That was a very good ride.
A very clean and smooth ride for Wade Williams, as though he's going to have a very respectable time, and he does. 6.19 seconds, which is establishing a new fast time in this first round.
Now you were one of the you were the first one to start wearing pads,
Start
correct?
wearing pads because I realized at the speeds we were going, it wasn't going to last forever, that you were going to get through this unscathed. So
Johnny, you guys were riding rockets.
I know.
Up a rock and dirt hill.
Well, can I give you an idea how fast they accelerate?
Oh, I saw. But yeah.
15 feet from the timer. That's all a run you'd get at some hills. You're sitting on the bike, 15 feet. There's the electronic eye. And the hill at Muskegon, I still hold the hill record, is 400 feet, 70-degree angle to the timer at the top. Then you give you 60 feet, 40 feet, snow fence, and then it drops off 400 feet into Lake Michigan, the other side.
Did you end up in Lake Michigan?
No, but my son went right over the snow fence, and he hit a tree 30 feet in the air, and he busted ribs, broke his scapula. That was Greg. And I helped carry him down in the stretcher down the stairs. And
Jeez. Watching her son's hill climb was one of the most harrowing experiences a mother can go through.
yeah, punctured his lung.
You told me last night, now, I wanted to ask you how many bones in your body have been broken.
I will, but I got to tell you one little story about that hill I was talking
With
about.
the boot?
The 400, the Muskegon, Michigan.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
I still hold the hill record, and I want you to look at a clock. Whoever who's out there and listening, just look at a clock with a big second hand. I took off, 70-degree angle hill, 400 feet to the timer, 4 29/100ths of a second. You figure out the math.
Jesus, I've never heard of a hill anybody going up a hill that fast.
You watch the clock. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're at the top.
You said something that that Cooper designed a special
yeah.
wrist pad just for you?
Yeah, well, they had it because of my arm. They said, look, we're going to bring your sweater that you race with. So I put that on, and they measured from the elbow to this very bone in my wrist.
Right.
I never wore elbow pads before that. The very next weekend, I go to York, Pennsylvania, and there's a breaker. Well, I tried to take it wide open. The bike kicked out, went through the air like that, and I went upside down and come down right with my elbow in the back wheel. You know what happened? Tore my sweater. That was it.
It's amazing you never broke your neck.
It is.
Because you know what? For all the padding and all the helmets and equipment, your neck's still really vulnerable.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Now, I'm going to I wrote this stuff down. You got 5 world championships, 5 U.S. Grand National championships.
7-time Grand National, 10-time Canadian National, and I'm in the Guinness Book of Records.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask. What are you in the Guinness World Book of Records for?
I was the first Canadian ever to win a world championship in any form of motorized sport. Cars, Formula One, blah, 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 blah.
Really?
Yeah. You want to ask
said-
about the crash?
I want to ask about the foot in the chest because it took me. I chewed on that all night with the imagery in my head. So now I think I'm ready to hear it again and get the picture.
Okay, we're in the 800 class. I'm pulling 300 horsepower. Motor's fresh. I still don't know what happened to this day. Went out of the pits and the thing is hauling, and we're just near the top before the light. And the back end goes like this. Now, years ago when they made the hill a little bit, there was a little bit of a
Ditch,
hump like this,
yeah.
like going up. My front wheel hit that, and down about 75 feet below
Right.
is a plateau. And I remember walking up that morning, and I thought to myself, nobody's ever gone in there. I've been here 35 years.
You signed it.
I think so. So I get to the top, and the bike, there's trees that are 75 feet high, and they said I was 15 feet over in the top. The bike was way out in front, and it was like I was sitting on it still, but it was long out in front of me, and this went through my mind. I went one hill climb too much. I thought, this is it, I'm buying it. Here I am over these trees, and I dropped down 75 feet through the trees. On the way down, I guess I was going like this, so I would go in feet first,
Yeah.
and I guess my one leg caught a branch.
Jeez.
Anyways, they can't find me, I'm out cold. 10 foot high of wild rose bushes, and the crowd's hollering, why aren't they going in to get them? We saw them fall down in there. Because they could not find, didn't know where to cut in.
The eyes followed the bike.
Yeah.
Ah.
So, anyways, I came to, and I remember, geez, I feel uncomfortable. I tried to get up, and I looked down like this, and my leg was off at the knee. It was still connected, but it was, all the soft tissue was gone.
The
And
joint was just completely wrecked.
my foot was upside down on my stomach like that. And I remember just taking my leg, I shouldn't have done it maybe, and I just put the leg down.
You
and
could do it because at that point it's still numb.
Yeah, and I passed out again, and then somebody found me. Yeah. And
Was
there
that your last hill climb?
That was the very last hill climb ride. There was 10,000 people there, and they all thought I was dead. And the referee told me, I thought you were dead, man.
Well, you still got a bounce in your step.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say thank you.
I'm John Williams, and I approve this video, and she can make copies and give it to friends or do whatever the hell she wants. I brought her a copy to do with as she pleases. So there, enough said.
I don't know if I asked any of the right questions. Can I say how old you are?
Yeah, I'm 79. I'll be 80 in March.
You'll be 80 in March. This man moves better than I do. If you didn't have an angel, Johnny, I don't know who didn't.
I had a whole group of them.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something, when you go, I've only been to one, but when you go to these hill climbs, okay, and you're watching an entire family, mom, dad, 2 sons, and Terry in a bikini.
Oh,
God, if you are an adrenaline junkie and you like to hear the whoa, 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 and feel it go right through your chest, go to a hill climb. Drag races are fun, but it's just a strip. Hill climbing, you always get a lot more than you bargained for. So this is what you drive now, the Highwayman.
yeah. It's a Spider, a Can-Am Spider made right here in Canada, and proud of it.
So you guys are going off on a little tootle.
We're heading up to Mount Laurier.
My jacket, if I have my heated jacket, but I don't.
You have a heated jacket?
Oh yeah.
Full
And so, holy crap, what are these things?
This controls it. It can make it light, higher heat or lower heat.
For,
This is for the grips. This is for the jacket.
and this is,
for the heat for the seat. She wants it disconnected.
I love you. And there they go, folks. 78 and 79 years old, and they know what keeps them happy. Their love of life never ceases to amaze me. I hope Howie and I are half that mobile in 20 years. Take care, God bless. I hope you enjoyed this.